Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another Daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have a Serra Control, a Serra Miracle, a Serra Tech deck. It's a Serra deck that wants to either spread a lot of power onto the board on the last turn with a Hitmonkey, or it wants to counter what the opponent wants to do on their last turn by using either Shang-Chi or Enchantress to take out their big game plan. So Patriot has been on the rise lately. Patriot has been everywhere, and Enchantress is able to tech against that and help us swing those games back in our favor quite often. And then additionally, we see a lot of Galactus. Galactus, we do have to rely on either a Polaris to pull their 1 or 2 cost card out of the lane that they wanted in, or lean in on dropping initiative when the Galactus comes down into using either Shang-Chi, Enchantress, plus some of our other cards to be able to burst some power onto the board and counter whatever their big plays are, whether that be a Null, a Death, a Doc Ock. We just want to be able to take out their big resources. And so we have a few ways to counter it, and it's not always stopping the Galactus from triggering. And then one of the other really common decks right now is a Hawk deck. A Hawk deck is going to be using the ongoing from Hawk. Sometimes it runs Devil Dino. A lot of times it'll run Mystique. Enchantress can help us swing those games back in our favor, or we could just lean in on the Shang-Chi if they drop the Hawk early enough to be able to take out their big power plays. And so this is kind of an adaptation from what the Serra Miracle used to be. And this is one of those decks that you can't go into it expecting a 60-70% win rate. Sometimes if you get in early enough on a trend or on a deck, then you can get an absurdly high win rate. But with this one, we're looking at around 55%, which is not terrible. It's not great. But where this deck list really shines is in the average cube gain. This average cube gain is a lot higher than some decks that are 3, 4, 5% win rate higher than what this one is. And the reason for that is because we have that surprise element of the Enchantress or Shang-Chi, and we have the big explosive burst, a last turn play. So oftentimes we can judge really well what our likelihood of winning a particular match is, so we can retreat before the snaps come down if it doesn't look like we have what we need. But whenever we do, and it's one of those games where we are going to win, we can snap aggressively, knowing pretty early on what our end play line is going to look like. And so overall, for the last several seasons, a Serra Miracle, Serra Tech deck has been kind of one of my comfort go-to lists. And it is one that does a little bit better the earlier on in your collection you are. As you get deeper, as people get more complex and more competent decks, sometimes this one does end up dropping off because it's less smash the highest power thing onto the board and more so like a really strategic combo-driven or value-driven deck. But even in those higher ranks, this one still fares fairly well. But overall, the deck is pretty straightforward. You want to curve your cards out slowly. You don't want to play too early, especially if you're going to go Serra into a burst. If you're going the Hitmonkey route, sometimes you'll conserve your Angela, your Hitmonkey, your Scarlet Witch to be able to put onto the board on that last turn so that you can really explode that power. And it's really hard for the opponent to gauge exactly where you're going to be positioning your power. Now, if it looks like you're going to be going the more tech-heavy route, so something like an Enchantress or Shang-Chi, sometimes on turn 4, it's more beneficial to just do a Mysterio and a Hitmonkey for 10 total power on that turn 4, rather than trying to save it and then maybe even not being able to play it efficiently on that game. And so overall, I really enjoyed this list. I hope that you guys enjoy it. With the brief deck explanation out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, first up we have Lord Byron. Lord 13 Wyron? I think it's Byron. The first location is Titan. They're running a Thanos list, so if we can draw Killmonger, we get a lot of value from that card. I saved the Nova just so that we could play it on top of the Angela to get some extra value and some extra power in that lane. And it looks like they're going Danger Room? Nobody plays Daredevil just blindly into the Danger Room. This feels very bot-like. One of the bots that knows the outcome from Danger Room itself. If that doesn't die, okay. There's no way that somebody is just blindly throwing all of their stuff into Danger Room and not being hit with any negative repercussions. We lose our Sentinel, they lose their Professor X. Okay, we will take that. We'll take some lucky flips sometimes. I'm going to do just Scarlet Witch into mid so that we can get some extra power there. They play Cosmo to the right, so they have Daredevil this turn. Maybe. They have Daredevil this turn. I guess I'm going to do just Bishop, maybe just Bishop and Hitmonkey. That way next turn, depending on what I draw, I might be able to do 2 drops. So we might be able to do a Polaris and a Killmonger, but we want to focus on our Killmonger for sure because we will be able to take out some of their resources on the board, and we'll destroy our Nova to buff up the rest of our board as well. Alright, so they Daredevil in mid. That really makes me want to not do Killmonger this next turn, and instead lean into a Shang-Chi. So we do get Polaris. We could do Polaris and Killmonger. That's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 extra power here. I think we try that. Like, that's a decent amount of power. Plus we're taking one away from them here. The Shang-Chi, I like the guarantee of destroying the Devil Dino, but I think it is worth using the Killmonger anyways. So they go with Thanos and the Soul Stone. We should be able to outpower the Thanos, and we're going to take out all of the stones in that location. So I think we're going to be able to swing this game back in our favor after Nova triggers. Not a super smooth game, but we are able to hold it down and make it our own. Let's go ahead and take the 2 cubes and we'll jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Ultra Feast, and the first location is Project Pegasus, which we don't necessarily want. I probably should have held Scarlet Witch just for some information on the later locations, but we did go ahead and use it. So the Lady Sif comes down, discards the Black Cat, and the Swordmaster discards the Blade. Wow. And so now it's just relying on whatever they top deck, which is very interesting. Let's go ahead and skip turn 2. We could go ahead and do the Mysterio, but I think we're going to wait. The hub gives us Zabu. Not that we necessarily or drastically need to use it. We're going to go with Polaris into Fisk Tower, which does look like it pulls their Yondu. We lost our Killmonger, unfortunately, but they lost their Yondu, which they got from the hub. We do get Sarah, so we'll be able to flood on the last turn. So I think I'm going to do Zabu and then Sentinel. We'll play the Sarah to the left into Stark Tower. And then I think we just flood whatever we have. We have Shang-Chi just in case they play out something that is high power. The Ghost Rider resummons Blade, which then gets rid of their Infinite. Kind of scary. So we're facing a Hela list. Pretty standard Hela list, a Hela resummon list. They do decently, but you have to be very tilt-proof. You have to be playing them with your statistics and odds in mind and know that sometimes you're going to lose to bad rolls. Otherwise, it performs pretty decently. It's never just like absurdly strong, but it's never terrible either. All right, let's spread our power across the board. Let's do Angela. We can do the real Mysterio to the right. We can do Sentinel. We have initiative, so we could do this as well. Then we might as well throw the Nova in there. We'll throw the Nova in for good measure. I don't know that that's enough. So if they got their Hela to do the resummon, it's not quite going to be enough because they have discarded the Black Cat and the Infinite now at this point. And so depending on where those resummon at, they have a shot. For me, it's worth the additional 1 cube. If it was for any more than that, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't be worth it at that point, but they have the Magneto. Wow. So not a resummon. So sometimes with Hela, you're going to hit it. Sometimes you're not. You're going to have to be very quick to retreat and very tactful with your snaps, and know that sometimes your Swordmaster is going to discard your Hela when you have 5 other cards in hand. But we will take the 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Jay Lape. The first location is Bar with No Name. Depending if they play here or not, we may go with an early Scarlet Witch. We may hold the Scarlet Witch until the last turn and then just play it over there and hope to be able to swing that location in our favor. They're also running a Thanos list, so they have the Reality Stone that they'll be able to lean in on. Potentially, if they want to, they can lean in on it to change that far left location. Now, the middle location is Crimson Cosmos, which is not great for anybody. I mean, it's better for them than it is for us, because we're really restricted in what cards we can play. We have Enchantress, we have Shang-Chi, we have Sarah. That is all that we can play into Crimson Cosmos, and if we drop Sarah, we won't be able to do Shang-Chi or Enchantress there after the fact. I'm going to go ahead and do Bishop to the left. They did a Time Stone, so they'll have a 4 energy this turn. These locations are terrible. Jotunheim, we don't want to really play there early because we're just going to lose value every single turn. We're okay with our Nova being there because it will eventually get destroyed, but playing anything else there is not necessarily what we want to be doing. All right, so they do a Lockjaw into the Reality Stone, which changes the left lane into Space Throne. Wow. So they're actually going to lose the Reality Stone. It's going to get sucked back in. We're eventually going to be able to drop a Killmonger to destroy this Time Stone, but that's awful. So we will be able to swing this left lane. This middle location is awful for us, so I'm going to put our Enchantress there now. We do force the retreat. We'll go ahead and take the 1 cube and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Pro POS 6. The first location is Sakaar. Let's play this one by ear. Our Enchantress gets pulled in, which is kind of our like surprise element in this deck. Unfortunately, it does. Their Titania comes down and it doesn't get zeroed out. So this looks like maybe they're running the old standard Shuri deck. And so I mean, at some point they may play Shuri, skip into She-Hulk plus like Captain Marvel. Xandar comes out. They did skip on turn 2, so they still have the 0 effect. So we have to be kind of aware of that. I'm actually going to early drop our Killmonger. Yeah, let's early drop the Killmonger. I thought about not doing it in case we draw into Nova, but I do want to take it. Like we clear their board. We clear everything they had on the board so far. Maybe they forget that they use 0 and they try to do something big like Shuri on 4 and it's going to get zeroed out. We can dream. That's our hope. That's our hope for what happens here. Let's go with the Sentinel and the Scarlet Witch. Let's see if they're going to eventually play a card. They do play 2 cards this turn. Our Scarlet Witch comes down, changes the right lane into the hub, which gives us Black Panther. They zero out their She-Hulk. We do have Shang-Chi to clear that left lane. Let's go ahead and do the Shang-Chi early. We're not going to play it. We're not going to play it slowly. We're going to play it as quick paced, as up paced as possible. And we do get the retreat. We were going to Shang-Chi this left lane, giving us a pretty good power advantage in all 3 locations. They were going to have to do something really big on the last turn, and it looks like we just were able to disrupt their draw entirely. So we will go ahead and take the 1 cube. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Apple Cat. The first location is Elysium. I want to play our Angela. I want to go ahead and curve it out, but I also want to play it a little bit more slowly, a little bit more cautiously, because I have been playing and brewing quite a bit today. I've played Apple Cat a handful of times. I know that at least they were running a Galactus deck. And so something that ran a Yondu, ran an Electro, a Doctor Doom, a Doc Ock to pull our cards, and then the Galactus. And so if we can stop that from happening, so they do use their Yondu here. I think we need to try to grab initiative. And so even though I was planning on slow playing most of our cards, I think we are going to put a little bit of power onto the board. We don't have a great way to do both of these lanes, because if they play a Wave or an Electro or something into Elysium, or onto the board, it's going to be into Elysium. So they skip. This next turn, they could do a Doc Ock. And then this lane is going to be so free for them to be able to play in. Oh, because the Bifrost is going to push everything over. That's not what we wanted to see. All right. We're going to play the Sarah into the far left lane. It's going to get pushed into New York. They will be able to move cards maybe on the last turn if they have some ways to go for a last turn Galactus. I think more than likely we see the Doc Ock come down here, and then everything will get shift over into New York. And oh no, we see the Wave. Okay. The Wave is okay, depending on where we think they're going to Galactus. So the most natural place to Galactus is into the Bifrost. Because they want to like drain all of our resources, I think the Bifrost is where they play their Galactus. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll kind of play it from there. I think they do it into the Bifrost. That's my gamble. That's what I would do if I was running Galactus, and they don't. They played into the empty lane. So they don't, oh man, that's unfortunate. All right, so maybe we can hit them with the Shang-Chi. So the reason my natural progression or thought was to play it into the Bifrost was because it gives us tempo, so that they, on the last turn, they could do their death, their null, Shang-Chi, whatever they needed to do. But this way they can't. So we're gonna do this. If they have a null, they have initiative, which is why I didn't think they'd play it into the left lane. Let's go ahead and lock this in. They could go just mid-range instead, but I think with the Shang-Chi, we might be able to swing this one. Okay, so Spider-Man is fine. The Cloak, and then the Death. So we do get the Death. We're going to swing that, that 12 power away from them. Our Hitmonkey is going to be pretty decently sized. And then we should take away the 12 with the Shang-Chi, and I think that is enough to swing it in our direction or in our favor. So not a comfy win against the Galactus, but it is a win nonetheless. We are going to go ahead and take the 2 cubes, and that is where we're going to go ahead and end the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.